his daddy filled with whiskey, the sun he drove alone. And when his engine roared, they called the highway Thunder Road. There was thunder, thunder, over Thunder Road. Thunder was his engine and white lights and was his load. There was moonshine, moonshine, right down his back. But all they smooth they kill him, but the devil got him
Pass around the jug and take a swig of that sweet Mountain Dew. It's time to go bootlegger racing, boys. Yeah!
Absolutely, Ricky. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the old Jackson Valley Speedway, as we are proud to bring you more exciting racing action from the Cousin Ricky presents the Bootlegger Run, Round 2, sponsored by Merch by Meekin.
And if you thought round 1 was exciting, we ain't seen nothing yet, as we got tons of bootlegger racing action coming your way.
That's right, Ricky. Round 1 is in the books, which means the competition just gets more fierce.
And now that the first round bye is done, it's time for the top 6 qualifiers to mingle in with the fender-banging veterans.
Judging by the racing we have seen so far, I can only imagine how much excitement we are going to have here.
And judging by the style of racing we've had so far, I can only imagine how much more chaos it's going to be.
Well, Ricky, with your involvement in your so-called free samples, it's no wonder we've had so much chaos here on the track. By the way, where the heck have you been all week? I've been looking all over the place for you.
You know Cousin Ricky's got to move around with his samples if he wants to sell more products.
Yeah, well, I think I saw the results of your free samples over at Gravity Throttle Racing. What the heck, Ricky? And somebody said something about you taking my money and buying a car down at Boomtown Speedway?
Let's not go down that road.
Well, speaking of going down that road, some of these bootlegger machines have been having issues getting down through the S-turns as well as controlling the chicane. Question is, will they be able to navigate them, or will the track claim more victims?
Well, there's only one way to find out as we get set for the first 2 heat races of round 2. So enough talking, let's get down to the driver introductions.
Starting on the pole position, qualifying 5th overall in his 1968 Mercury Cougar for Arlo Racing, it's Bobby Gray. Starting in the 2nd spot, qualifying 6th overall in his 1949 Ford Custom Coupe for Chase Family Racing, it's InCount. In round 1, he took his 1957 Chevy Bel Air and drove it all the way to a win. For Manchild Motorsports, it's Papa Pugsley. He fought a hard back-and-forth battle in round 1 but had to settle for a 2nd place finish. In his 1939 Ford sedan for Hot Nuts Diecast, it's Craigster Sr. He definitely turned some heads when he rolled onto the block.
Yeah, for the wrong reason.
But he left everyone stunned when he walked away with a 3rd place finish. For Outsiders Underground, it's Clem. And finally, after a tough break in round 1 and then blowing everybody away in the elimination round, in his 1934 Chevy Master Coupe, it's Mr. Dodd. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, your drivers for the Bootlegger Run Round 2 Heat Group 1. Now let's get down to the track surface for some amazing racing action. So many well-known veterans in this heat group, as you have Arlo in that front inside pole position with InCount right next to him, then Papa Pugsley and Craigster Sr. right behind them. They all have very close times, but only 3 will be making it on to the semifinal rounds as lap 1 is underway. Down the backstretch for the first time into turn 1, it's Bobby Gray with a commanding lead as you have InCount and Papa Pugsley fighting for 2nd place behind him. As Arlo goes into turn 3, he gets a little loose. He gets even more loose as he heads down to the final stretch. Here comes InCount catching up to him, but you have Bobby Gray coming in first, followed by InCount and Craigster Sr. as they all start to get loose behind them.
Bobby Gray showing off what Team Arlo does best, and that's flexing their muscles.
Bobby Gray definitely showing a great start as we watch from Merch by Meekin replay cam. You see him getting a little loose as it's total chaos behind him as both Papa Pugsley and InCount get loose as Papa Pugsley gets turned around as he gets passed by 2 drivers, falling down to 5th. That's 1 lap down, 5 to go as you have Arlo hanging on to that lead with InCount right there next to him. Can he challenge for that 1st place position? Then you have Craigster Sr. in 3rd place, and then you have Mr. Dark who moved up from 6th to 4th place as lap 2 is now underway. As they head down into turn 1, it's Bobby Gray with InCount right there on his rear bumper as No! In Count loses it as he rolls over.
They're piling up behind him, but it looks like he saved it.
Not sure how he did it, but In Count's back up on his four wheels as Bobby Gray is coming down to the line. He's going to be in first place as Mr. Dark moves out into second place, and then In Count comes across the line backwards in third. Then you have Papa Pugsy moving up into fourth.
Talking about going from 0 to 100. Man, that was some chaotic racing.
Chaotic indeed as we check out that very fast track time by Bobby Gray. As we check out turn 2, there you see Gregson Sr. and Clam getting stuck together as we watch the Mirched by Meekin replay camera. There you watch In Count. He loses the car coming out of the S-turns as he goes on two wheels. He jumps across the track and then slams into the wall as he gets struck by another driver. As we watch the turn 2 angle, here you see him rolling down the track as he gets slammed by Mr. Dark, who makes it past him. Then Gregson Sr. gets tangled up. Gregson Sr. gets slammed by Clem as they come to a stop. Then you have Papa Pugsy watching the imminent danger in front of him as he slowly creeps on past them down to the line.
And just like that, we have a huge shakeup in this lineup.
That we do, as Mr. Dark has gone from 6th place to 2nd place in just 2 laps. In Count has dropped down 1 spot. Then you have Gregson Sr. who's fallen all the way down to 5th. Can they climb their way back up? Only one way to find out. It's lap 3. Bobby Gray once again leads him down on turn 1 as you have Mr. Dark and In Count fighting for 2nd place.
We have troubles. Mr. Dark's on his side.
Trouble in the S-turns once again as Bobby Gray gets sideways heading into turn 3 as he gets loose down the home stretch. Here comes In Count. Can he catch up to him? No! You have Bobby Gray coming in first, followed by In Count in second. Was anybody able to break loose? Yes, looks like Papa Pugsy is. He hits the wall hard as he comes across the line, but he comes in third.
Dang, this S-turn is treating these bootleggers like my grandpappy treats his tobacco, chewing them up and spitting them out.
Well, there's an image I didn't want to have in my head as the emergency crews are checking in on the drivers in turn 2. Let's watch the replay camera as you see In Count goes on the 2 wheels. Then you have Mr. Dark who gets spun around by Papa Pugsy outside the S-turns as they head down in the turn 2. As you watch the other angle, here comes Clem. He slams into Papa Pugsy. That sends Mr. Dark rolling around as you have Gregson Sr. who couldn't hang on to it as he rolls around as they all come to a stop. We're halfway through this heat, and Bobby Gray has been able to hang on to every single lap. You have In Count now back up to that 2nd place spot, as now you have Papa Pugsy into 3rd with Clem down in 4th place. A tough break as you have Gregson Sr. down there in 6th. As we have 3 laps left to go, it's lap 4. Bobby Gray leads him down in the turn 1 to In Count and Papa Pugsy on his tail. In Count clears the S-turns as he heads into turn 2, slowly creeping up on Bobby Gray. Bobby Gray gets loose into turn 3. Here comes Papa Pugsy, but In Count pulls away as they come down to the line. It's going to be Bobby Gray hanging on to that 1st place spot, followed by In Count. Then you have Papa Pugsy with the S of the cars falling in behind.
Woo, this race is really getting hot.
Things are heating up indeed as we check out the Mirched by Meekin replay camera. Here you see Bobby Gray enters into turn 3. His car gets a little sideways as he loses momentum. Papa Pugsy gives In Count a shove heading out of turn 3 and launches his car down the super stretch right onto Bobby Gray's back bumper. Bobby Gray goes for a block as In Count tries to make the pass, but Bobby Gray is able to make the blocks as he's going to go on to lead this lap. And with just 2 laps to go, Bobby Gray has held on to that 1st place spot as you have In Count right there next to him, who has been literally flying off the rails to try to keep up with him. You have Papa Pugsy behind him and then Mr. Dark. As you all know, anything can happen with just 2 laps to go. It's lap 5. Down the backstretch to go into turn 1. It's Bobby Gray with In Count right there behind him as it hit.
In Count!
Once again, In Count is on his roof as Bobby Gray is starting to pull away. Mr. Dark looks like he was able to break free as they're going to come down the line. Bobby Gray rides the line. He hits the wall. He gets slammed by Mr. Dark.
Why did Hayden Gregson Sr. says he'll have none of it as he slammed on his brakes just before coming down to the line.
What a hard hit Bobby Gray took, not once but twice, as he got slammed by Mr. Dark right there at the line. As we check in on the drivers down there in turn 2, here you see In Count on his side, where you have Papa Pugsy and Clem right there behind him.
Definitely got to watch this replay.
In Count once again loses it in the S-turns as he rolls over right in front of Papa Pugsy as Mr. Dark is able to sneak on by, as well as Gregson Sr. Then you watch, here comes Clem. He slams right into the back of Papa Pugsy as it pushes him into the outside retaining wall there in turn 2 as all their cars come to a stop.
Now as we watch Bobby Gray come out of turn 4, his car rolls up on the outside retaining wall as he slides across the shrubbery and then bam, hits the wall right there at the flag stand, and then bam, he gets slammed by Mr. Dark as they come across the line.
Watching one last time from the finish camera as you watch Bobby Gray sliding across the shrubbery, coming to a sudden halt at the wall right there at the flag stand, and then bam, he gets slammed by Mr. Dark as if Bobby Gray had a target on his back.
Mr. Dark looked like he was out for blood on that one.
Well, this is it, ladies and gentlemen. We are down to lap 6, and Bobby Gray has led all 5 laps, but can he make it a perfect run? Right there next to him, it's Mr. Dark with that hard hit he just did. Then you have Craigser Sr. behind him, and then in count as the white flag is out. 1 lap to go. Who will be our top 3 drivers moving on as Bobby Gray leads him down in the turn 1 as he's pulling away. Oh, looks like Mr. Dark has had some trouble as he's on his side again as Bobby Gray is once again pulling away as he goes down the super stretch. Down the home stretch, he's going to come in first place, followed by Craigser Sr., who was able to move up into second place. Now we down to third. It's going to be in count, beating out Papa Pugsley for that third place spot as Papa Pugsley limps across the line.
Once again, another chaotic finish, and check out that track time by Bobby Gray.
Another chaotic finish once again as we check in on Mr. Dark and Clem, who are sitting down there at the exit of turn 2 as we watch a replay camera. Here you see Mr. Dark loses control of his vehicle once again in the S-turns as he gets slammed by Incount, who's unable to get anywhere past him. As you watch him come down into turn 2, here comes Clem. He slams right into the back of Incount, giving him that extra shove, and then slams into the back of him again, making it so he can make it down to the finish line. And at the end of the Bootlegger Run, Round 2, Heat Group 1, your 3 drivers who will be moving on to the semifinal rounds. In third place, it's going to be In Count, with Craigster Sr. coming in second place, and your winner of this event, it's Bobby Gray. We'll be back in just a minute. We welcome you back here to the Cousin Ricky Presents the Bootlegger Run, Round 2, presented by Merch by Meekin.
With what we saw in Heat Group 1, I can't wait to see what Heat Group 2 has in store for us.
I couldn't agree more, Ricky, but I also can't help but think, how many free samples did you hand out to the drivers this time?
You'll be happy to know those drivers are absolutely 100% crystal clear clean, just like my product. And besides, Cousin Ricky has a reputation to keep. I can't have my drivers and product scattered all over the track.
Your drivers and your product? What are you going on about, Ricky? Oh my God. What is Lily doing over by your van, and why is that man loading a crate into the back of her car?
You know Cousin Ricky's always looking for a place to expand, and what better place than the K9 Market with Cousin Ricky's Pop Cups?
Oh dear God, Ricky, really? And come on, Lily, I expected more of you. Bad girl, bad girl. But anyways, we still have one more heat group to get down to, so let's get down to the driver introductions. On the pole, qualifying third overall with a time of 15.273 seconds in his 1967 Ford Mustang, it's Grumpy Cloud. In the number 2 spot with a qualifying time of 15.535 seconds in his 1939 Ford Sedan, it's Wendell Scott. He dominated round 1, leading every single lap and taking home the win in his 57 Chevy Bel Air. For Karmic Racing, it's Hades. On the last lap of round 1, he made an amazing pass to come up with a second place finish in his 1934 Chevy Master Coupe. It's Bay City Darrell. After an amazing back and forth battle in round 1, she had some bad luck but was able to save a third place finish. For Mako Racing, it's Kyla Young. After being pushed down and knocked around in round 1, he came back and dominated the elimination round. In his 1939 Ford Sedan, it's Numbskull. We got the 30s, the 50s, and the 60s represented here in round 2, Heat Group 2 of the Bootlegger Run. Now let's get down to the racing surface. Are you serious right now? How in the world are you convincing Lily to move your product?
I mean, it wasn't really that difficult to convince her. All I had to do is talk really sweet to her and offer her a squeaky toy. And besides, everybody gets a little cut of Cousin Ricky's product. And who says she's the only one helping?
Wait, do what?
Lap 1, underway!
Down to Bastress for the first time is a tight race between Grumpy Cloud and Wendell Scott as Wendell Scott takes it into the S-turns as he starts to pull away through the chicane. Into turn 3, he gets a little sideways. Here comes Grumpy Cloud, but Grumpy Cloud gets loose. He's all over the place as here comes Wendell Scott across the line in first, followed by Grumpy Cloud in second, and it's going to be Bay City Darrell in third as the cars are all wrecking behind him.
Some excellent driving by Wendell as he's able to use that outside lane to take the lead.
And how about that track time as we watch the replay camera? Here you see Wendell Scott hits the inside retaining wall and just scoots down it as Grumpy Cloud behind him is bouncing all over the place. Just behind him, Bay City Darrell is blocking the track as Hades tries to make a pass. Then he gets pushed by Kyla Young, and then here comes Numbskull coming up the line.
Some hard racing in that first lap as every position combination makes a difference when it comes to the last lap.
That it does, as Wendell Scott moves up into that first place position with Grumpy Cloud following the second. You had Basie to Daryl moving up into third place position. Numbskull moves up one spot as well. We have 5 laps left to go. Anything can happen as lap 2 is now underway. Down the backstretch they go. It's Wendell Scott leading them down into turn 1 as he gets sideways as Grumpy Cloud takes the lead with Hades right there on his bumper as they come into turn 3. Hades is starting to catch up, but here they come down to the final stretch. Here they go, sliding across the line.
Woo, that is what I'm talking about, baby. Some chaotic action all over the place.
All over the place indeed, as there was action all over the track. As we check out that track time, we go down into the turn 2. There you see Wendell Scott laying on his side with Bay City Daryl stuck and Numbskull right there behind them. As we watch the replay cam, here you see Wendell Scott enters into the S-turns. His car loses control as he pops up and hits the outside retaining wall. Watch it one more time. He goes up, he pops the outside retaining wall. Here comes Grumpy Cloud sneaking past him, and then here comes Bay City Daryl slamming into Wendell Scott as he hits the outside retaining wall. Then he rolls over and hits a spectator's car before he comes to a halt.
Man, you want to talk about being on top of the action?
A close call for those fans as we switch over to the final stretch camera as you watch Grumpy Cloud comes out of the turn, hitting the wall, then rolling over as here comes Hades slamming into him as they slide all the way across the line. As we switch up to another angle, here you watch Grumpy Cloud hits the outside retaining wall, then the inside retaining wall, rolling over and then gets hit by Hades as they come across, and then Hades gets slammed by Kyla Young. And it seems we're going to have to send our intern down there to help those guys out with an insurance claim.
Oh, there ain't no need for that. I got that covered.
Oh, dear God, what are you going on about now?
Well, if you had taken time to look at the back of the tickets, you would have seen I put a disclaimer in there.
A disclaimer?
Yeah, it just says the Funkhouse Diecast Racing is not responsible for any damages or injuries sustained during one of our events.
Oh my God, I'd wring your neck if I didn't have to commentate this race as Grumpy Cloud is leading them down in a turn 2 to the chicane. Kyla Young is on his tail as you have Wendell Scott on her tail as they come down to the line. Oh, Kyla Young gets turned sideways as Grumpy Cloud is going to hang on to that lead.
And once again, we have tons of rubbing going on in this race.
And I'm about to rub my boot upside your head if you do not get down there and fix that so-called disclaimer. As we watch the Merch by Meekin replay camera, here you see Grumpy Cloud once again gets turned sideways by Kyla Young as Kyla Young gets turned by Wendell Scott as they slide across the line, and then you have the other drivers falling in behind them. Switching up the angle, you see Grumpy Cloud loses control as he gets pushed by Kyla Young, who then she gets pushed by Wendell Scott as they go across the line.
And how about that Wendell Scott working his way from 5th place back to 3rd place, finding his way back to the front?
He's right there behind Grumpy Cloud, our leader, as you have Kyla Young sitting next to him, and then you have Hades, who's going to be giving her a push as we have 3 laps to go. It's lap 4. Heading down on the turn 1, it's Grumpy Cloud with Kyla Young right there next to him. Here comes Wendell Scott giving Grumpy Cloud a push. Here comes Kyla Young challenging for the lead to the chicane. They're beating and banging. Oh, it looks like Grumpy Cloud is going to be pulling away as Kyla Young and Wendell Scott get into it as he comes across the line first, followed by Kyla Young, and then here comes Wendell Scott coming across the line backwards.
I said it once and I'll say it again, rubbing's racing!
And there was a lot of rubbing and door slamming action going on in that lap as we check out that track time, checking out the Merch by Meekin replay camera. Here you see Kyla Young pulling along Grumpy Cloud in turn 2, but Grumpy Cloud is able to hang on to that lead going in through the chicane. Then you watch Kyla Young and Wendell Scott getting together as Wendell Scott tries to make the pass underneath Kyla Young as Kyla Young puts on a blocking move as she's able to hang on to it.
As we switch it up and go down to the super stretch cam, you see Grumpy Cloud clears it, but Wendell Scott gets turned sideways as he comes out. Hades gives him a shove as he gets turned around.
Wendell Scott not giving up. He drops the hammer down into reverse as he looks out his back glass window as he's able to navigate it down to the line, hanging on to that position. And with just 2 laps to go, these cars are still fighting all over the place with Grumpy Cloud hanging on to that first place spot with Kyla Young right there next to him. Then it's Wendell Scott in 3rd with Hades in 4th. Don't count out Numbskull or Bay City Daryl. Everybody has a chance as lap 5 is now underway. Heading down the backstretch into turn 1, it's Grumpy Cloud with Wendell Scott right there on his bumper. Kyla Young is starting to fall behind as Wendell Scott is not giving up. He gets a little loose as Kyla Young gives him a slam. Grumpy Cloud gets loose. Here comes Wendell Scott as they make moves down to the line. They're beating and banging, but Grumpy Cloud hangs on to that first place spot as Wendell Scott takes 2nd.
Woo, this race just gets more intense with every lap that passes. How about that door banging action?
Absolutely, as we watch the replay here for the battle for the lead. As you watch, here comes Wendell Scott getting loose as he heads into into the turn. Kyla Young gives him a slam as it gives him a little extra momentum. Grumpy Cloud gets loose as he starts to lose control of his car. Here comes Wendell Scott running right up onto his rear bumper as he goes in turn 4. As they come down the stretch, Wendell Scott gets Grumpy Cloud sideways as they beat and bang as they come down to the line, but Grumpy Cloud is able to hang on to it as they come down to the final lap.
Speaking of the final lap, this is it!
That's right, it's crunch time. It's do or die. Will Grumpy Cloud be able to hang on to that lead, or will Wendell Scott take it again from the outside lane? Will Kyla Young be able to make some moves from the 3rd place spot, or how about Hades in 4th place? It's the white flag is out. 1 lap to go. Down the backstretch for the final time in the turn 1. It's Grumpy Cloud with Wendell Scott right there on his tail as he pulls alongside of him. He takes the lead into turn 2 as he hangs on through the chicane into turn 3 as Grumpy Cloud gets loose. Wendell Scott gets loose as they come down to the line. He's trouble behind him as Wendell Scott is going to take the win.
And tough luck for Kyla Young as she rolls over and Hades moves into the money spot.
A tough break for Kyla Young as we check out that track time put down by Wendell Scott. As we check in on her, she's being checked out by the emergency crews. They say she's okay, but let's check out the Merch by Meekin replay camera. As you watch them come down the super stretch, Wendell Scott gets a little sideways, but here you have Grumpy Cloud and Kyla Young fighting for that 2nd place position as they head down in the turn 4. Grumpy Cloud is still trying to make moves as Kyla Young gets pushed down to the bottom of the track. Here comes Hades pushing down on her as you watch coming down in the turn 4. Numbskull slams her right into the tire barrier as she gets rolled over as they come down to the line.
A hard break for her, but a great bit of luck for Hades as he moves on to the semifinal round.
And at the end of the Bootlegger Run, round 2, Heat Group 2, your 3 drivers moving on to the semi-final rounds. It's going to be Hades in 3rd place with Grumpy Cloud in 2nd. And your winner of this event, it's going to be Wendell Scott. Congratulations to these drivers. Talk about 2 heat groups of amazing door-banging action as we have our first 6 drivers moving on to the semi-final round.
And if you thought these races were good, wait till you see the next ones as yours truly will be strapping in and joining the fun.
Oh, I'm sure with you behind the wheel, there's going to be carnage all over the track.
Wait, do what?
Anyways, as always, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for being a part of the action here. And if you love the content you see, please remember to like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Don't forget to comment and share as we bring you more exciting racing action here from the old Yadkin Valley Speedway, home to the Winston-Salem Racing Series and the Funkhauser Diecast Racing League.
And as always, don't forget to visit Merch by Meekin. Merch by Meekin is your headquarters for all your custom metal diecast signs and much more. Don't forget to check out the custom merch and personal gift ideas too.
And don't forget to tell them Funkhauser sent you.
Merch by Meekin. Gotta love those signs.
And before we sign off, ladies and gentlemen, once again, give a big shout out and thank you to all the members of the Funkhauser Fan Club. We appreciate your contributions to the channel as it helps us provide better content. So once again, thank you. And if you're not a member of the Funkhauser Fan Club yet, please consider joining us and picking up those special badges, custom emojis, as well as shout-outs as we provide you with better content.
And we have a lot more special content planned and coming soon. Until then, it's the Color Record presents the Bootlegger Run!